Hello, good evening,
Hey there,
everybody.
Shruti. Hey, good
Yeah,
evening,
we are
everyone.
live. We are live. Good evening. I can see CS Neeta Sharma, Ravi saying hi. Hi, everybody.
Hey,
Welcome.
Neeta. Hi, Ravi.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, no, go ahead. We're saying
No,
something.
no, you go ahead, Shruti. I have this penchant of stepping on everyone's toes. So why don't you go ahead and do the honors first?
I think I'm really happy to see CS Neeta Sharma here. If I'm not wrong, she's one of our students, isn't it?
Oh, okay. Oh, that's nice.
Yes, now that we have officially started, good evening, Sahil. Good evening. Welcome back to our YouTube channel, EnglishYaari. I would say it's an ultimate solution for your language learning needs, whether it's vocabulary, grammar, pronunciation, presentation skill, business English. If you feel that your English needs improvement, then we are here for you. Since we are live, I would remind you all to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, because then you'll never ever miss any update when we bring expert tutors like Miss Neetu Edison over our live sessions, or maybe shorts or our quiz questions every day on community. So make sure you do subscribe it. Right? Yeah, I can see Affix Ravi. Hello, 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 everybody. All right. Now that we are here today, firstly, I would like you all to welcome Miss Neetu Edison today in our live session. So, to give you a brief introduction, Miss Neetu is a tutor with a lot of expertise, with an extensive experience in IELTS, TOEFL, PT, business communication, or whatnot. She has delivered more than 1,000 plus sessions on our platform. So, probably who better than her can help us debunk the myths that we are going to discuss today? How are you feeling, Miss Neetu?
I'm doing great, Shruti. Thank you so much, first of all, for having me here. And once again, good evening to everyone. I see that quite a few people have come in, and this is super exciting for me as well, to actually be able to talk about something that is perhaps, I think, very close to my heart as well, because there are a lot of false truths that I would like to talk about. And I think that we're going to be discussing in detail about the English language. So, yeah, I can't wait to dive in. And I think before we go any further, like Shruti mentioned, we are going to be speaking about debunking some common myths or some common, what I would like to call false truths surrounding English language, surrounding languages in general. So if you guys have heard of any of these kinds of myths, please feel free to message us, and we'd love to hear from you. But on that note, Shruti, let's get started. Why don't you do the honors
Sure,
and
sure.
share some of the interesting myths that you've heard yourself?
Yeah. So to all of you out there, I will act as a host. Miss Neetu is here on the chair, I would say, on the spotlight today. Whatsoever questions you may have, feel free to bring in. I think it's your best chance to get the answers from a person who has expertise in this field. I always say, if I could explain you with a simple analogy, uh, suppose you're not feeling well. These days, the kind of weather we are experiencing. Let's suppose you're not feeling well. Of course, you would visit a doctor. Am I right? We'll visit a doctor.
Absolutely.
Now,
Absolutely.
because doctor is a trained professional, they understand your body, they know how to fix the problem. Similarly, when we bring English Yaari's tutors here, they are the language experts. They are your language doctors, I would say, because they're certified. They know the challenges, and I would say more than anything else, they have walked the same path. So today you can ask any question freely in the chat box. I'll pick it up and direct towards Miss Neetu. So Miss Neetu, I think you need to be ready because I'm going to bombard a lot of questions to your way. Okay.
Absolutely. All set. Yes. Let's
Right.
get started.
As they've already seen via thumbnail that we are going to break some of the myths of learning English. I want you to tell me why did we choose this topic? I know, but let's tell the audience as well why this topic.
I think, Shruti, one of the primary reasons I chose this topic was my students themselves. So they often come and say, Madam, we hear that, it is very essential to be able to know a lot of words. So teach me all the possible idioms and teach me all the possible phrasal verbs today so that I can be able to ace that meeting and get that promotion I've been looking for so long. And then I asked my students, I said, so if you know idioms like apples and oranges and under the weather and frothing at the mouth, then it's a done deal. And so then my student looks at me very quizzically, like, what does that even mean? So the moral of the story is, if you know the context of what you're speaking, if you know the gist of what you're speaking, the main
Hmm.
premise of what you're speaking, That is sufficient. And that does not mean that vocabulary is not essential, grammar is not essential, pronunciation is not essential. All that is important, but everything requires a balance. It's like a cake. So a cake is not just about icing and sugar. It's about having a balance of everything, and we always add a pinch of salt so that everything is in balance. So just like that, even in the English language is not about you don't ace the language simply by knowing a lot of these figures of speech. No, if you understand the crux of what the other person, your audience, is telling you, then everything else automatically falls in place. So, this is the reason as to why I thought we'll take this, because students have been primarily facing a lot of really weird truths, which we'll be speaking about in a second. And I thought it would be nice to actually talk about that and sort of falsify them and put them to rest once and
Let's
for all.
address the elephant in the room. People often avoid it. It's time that we jump in. Before that, I can see some people writing learner by the name Shah Rukh Khan. Quite a fancy name. Is there any offer for New Year's? I see Bhola saying, ma'am, could you tell us if there's any offer? Before I tell you about New Year offer, why don't you know about something special? So in today's life, Miss Neetu and I have curated some questions, or I would say some activities. Whosoever
Yeah.
is going to be super active in the chat, who's going to answer our questions, who's going to take the challenge to improve their English, one such learner will get a free section from English Yaari family to start or kick off their journey. And then when you have talked about the offers and so we'll definitely deal with all such questions at the end. Sounds cool? So Miss Neetu, we can expect good answers today.
Hopefully, yeah, fingers crossed. Let's get
Okay.
started.
Yes. So now, as we are going to discuss this topic, breaking the myths, whatsoever questions or whatsoever myths we have heard from our learners, we have curated it one after the other. I'll put it across and let's see what Miss Neetu have to say about it. So the first
Okay.
question or the first myth or maybe a truth we don't know is that you must know thousands of words to speak English fluently. What do you have to say about this?
Okay. Now, I'm going to answer this question with an idiom, and this couldn't be further from the truth. This particular statement couldn't be further from the truth. In simple words, it is completely false. Knowing a vocabulary like, I'll give you an example, a word called ameliorate. Now, this is such a fancy word. Okay, so when I say that Shruti feels ameliorated after having her medication, the word ameliorate sounds like a very fancy word, but even language proficiency examinations like the IELTS say, please refrain from using such words. Instead, say something like, Shruti feels much better after taking her medication. Or Shruti is as fit as a fiddle after taking her medication. As fit as a fiddle is a simile, of course, and that is again a figure of speech, but much easier and much more, and sounds so much more better on the ears than using a fancy schmancy word like ameliorate. We are not the point I'm trying to make is I have understood when I say that Shruti is feeling better after taking her medication. It was so easy to understand that sentence by bringing in such a big word, which is so difficult, first of all, spell, let alone pronounce. It is not doing us any favors. So, knowing thousands of words, the moral of the story, Shruti, and all of our learners out here, is not going to do you any favors. But it is always nice to watch movies and to listen to podcasts on the English language, which give you words within the proficiency levels of basic to intermediate. Always start at the base. And if you're confident enough, then, and if you're in the mood to be a little adventurous, then maybe check out for words from the Merriam-Webster dictionary or the Oxford dictionary for synonyms, that is, alternate words which are more fancy. But to be very honest with you, adding a whole lot of words to your repertoire is not going to help you. So that's definitely not the answer. Or that does not mean that your English is at par. Because many times people have all these words, but they don't know where to use these words. So technically, your proficiency is back to square one. So
Yes, and you know what, Miss Neetu, when I started learning this language, my go-to idea was reading. I was an avid reader. I started reading, and back then I was a big fan of Chandragupta Maurya, and
oh yeah.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, many other things. So I read somewhere it was written that don't commit the same mistakes I've committed. If you're my student, don't just commit the same mistakes. Commit new mistakes because new mistakes would teach you new lessons that I haven't learned yet. right?
Very true.
The reason
Yeah.
why I'm telling all of you is because I am now here going to spill some beans. When I started learning, even I had a myth that if I want to improve my English, I need to use fancy jargons, those lingos, or maybe some good vocabulary words. So I would listen to podcast. Now take a notebook with me, jot down all the new words they have used. I still have those notebooks and those lists, but do I use that in my language? No. I was just under a vision that if I remember this, I will have my good vocabulary and I'll have good English as well. So it's
Right.
better you learn this today that it's absolutely a myth. There would not be a time when you'll feel that now I have enough words in my vocabulary list. Till now, do you feel, Miss Neetu, that our vocabulary is
No,
perfect?
no,
We
absolutely not.
can't.
Neither is my mind is far from perfect as well. Yeah, to be fair. So I completely agree. But Shruti, I think why don't we check if our listeners have a lot of words in their repertoire or how many words they have in their repertoire. So I was thinking,
Wow.
we'll put a question forward and we'll give them or we'll give you guys two options. It's up to you
Mhm.
all to decide which of those options are right. Yeah.
Yes,
So
perfect. All of
would
you,
you?
your ears should be right on. We are getting you a question. Let's see, are
Yeah.
you able to answer that right or not? Yes, please, me
Okay.
bring it up.
So the question is going to be I'm going to give you two options, and you need to tell me which of these sentences is right. It's just one word that's been changed. The first one is it A, I need to lie down for a while? I'll repeat that. I need to lie down for a while. Or is it B, I need to lay down for a while? I'll repeat that again. I need to lie down for a while is option A, or is it B, I need to lay down for a while? So why don't you guys decide which is the right option and send it to us in the comments?
Of course. Meanwhile, we'll do one thing. We'll put it in the chat box as well. So whatsoever Miss Neetu has said, you'll find in the chat box to give it a refresh, and you'll find it. Yes, it's already there. I can spot. There are two questions. One is I need to lie down. There are two options rather. I need to lie down for a while, or I need to lay down for a while. Which one is right according to you? Miss Neetu, to your surprise, the answers are just ready. We have
Yes.
yeah, Shahrukh saying A. Rashmi says A. Priya Jaya Prakash says A. Yes, Neeta says A. I think we are getting a lot of votes towards A.
A lot
What
of
do you
votes.
think?
People are leaning towards A. And should we spill the beans and should we give the answer? Oh,
Oh,
the answers are still coming in. So Shruti, then while the answers are still coming in, do you want to do the honors and do the next question? Maybe you can take it up, and we still have one more question.
sure. So we are doing one thing. Meanwhile, we are getting answers of this question. I'll ask you a second question and then we will answer one after the other. Okay. So
Sounds
the
good.
second question for you is option A. I can assure you that everything will be fine. I can assure you that everything will be fine. Or option two is I can ensure you that everything will be fine. The one is assure and the second is ensure. Again, our team will put this in the chat box so that you can give it a read and bring your answers meanwhile. Okay. All right. I can see now some confusion building up in the chat box.
Yeah,
English
yeah,
with
yeah,
Diwali saying, sorry, B.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
So the first
so
one was lie and lay, and the second one was with assure and ensure.
right.
Again, I think for second question, we are getting a lot of votes towards A.
Everyone's going with alphabet A. A is the alphabet of choice today. Okay, sounds good. But so while the answers are coming in for the second question, maybe we need to give the answer for the first one. What do you think, Shruti?
Let's discuss the first one. Of course, please help
So,
our
so
learners with this confusion.
yeah, so let's just repeat the question once again. The question was I need to lie down for a while or I need to lay down for a while. The answer is I need to lie down for a while. We are talking about, so lie is in the simple present tense, and we're talking about an action that's happening at the moment. So I need to lie down for a while. I'm having a headache. So I am having a headache, something that's happening in the current moment or present situation. So I definitely need to lie down for a while is the right answer because lay goes into simple past. So we're definitely talking about something in the present, which is the
Mhm.
reason as to why the answer was A. Good job, because most of you guys actually nailed it. So
Yes.
the right answer there is option A.
But
Okay.
for a second question, you would see a mixed response. There are 50% of people saying A, and then there are some votes for B too.
Yes, exactly. So I can assure you. So let's go with the second question. The answers are still coming in, but I can assure you that everything will be fine. I can ensure you that everything will be fine. The answer to this one is I can assure you. A is the right answer. The reason being that assure is a synonym or a similar or an alternate word, sorry, for the word guarantee. So I
Mhm.
can guarantee you, or I can confidently tell you that everything will be fine. The second one, on the other hand, is ensure, which means to make sure of something. So I can ensure you that Shruti is the best tutor in the business, which means that I can make sure. Yeah, there we are. Shruti,
You
are you
just
on
made
cloud
my
nine
day. Yes, I'm on seventh heaven. Forget the question. I am on the top of the world.
now? So assure, just to repeat once again, just to reiterate, assure means to guarantee something, but ensure means to make sure of something. I know it's sort of, and first of all, it's like a bit of a tongue twister. They both sound the same when you actually say it: assure, ensure, assure, ensure. But their meanings are succinctly different. So I hope you guys have understood them. Yeah.
Of course. And if somebody is teaching so patiently, who would not understand? Even a layman should understand it. All right. Now we'll tell you why did we do this activity firstly. If you notice, there's so many words in English language that you can't even get over. It's like an ocean, right? And let's suppose I have a bottle. I've filled the water with that ocean water. I should not feel that now I have the ocean with me. I'm carrying the ocean or the pool of English words. So it's okay if you do not have words in your list. With limited words as well, you can start your English Yaari journey or your English learning journey. Right? These questions act as a testament that see, we just gave you simple sentences. Even if you don't know the meaning, you can still make a guess or understand what are we trying to say. Am I right, Miss Neetu?
Absolutely. 10% agree, Shruti. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Yes. So here we get English with the Pali says, ensure can be. Can you please tell me the synonym for it? Yeah. Here is a question.
So ensure means to make sure. So if supposing we go with this particular sentence itself, the Bali that was given in the chat box, that is, I can ensure you that everything will be fine. I can, okay. So here it's going to be a little bit of a tongue twist. I mean, a little bit of a similarity with the previous sentence, but I will give you the reasoning behind it. Okay. I can replace ensure with I can guarantee. In simple words, I can guarantee you that everything will be fine. In simple words, ensure means to actually make an other person feel sure.
Yeah, you're
You are
giving
making the
surety,
other person,
assurance.
yeah, you're giving a surety to that person, a confirmation to that person that everything will be fine. I can confirm to you. This is another way of saying this, but please know that we're going to be adding a to if we are going to be adding the word confirm in order to make the sentence grammatically correct. I can confirm to you that everything will be pitch perfect or everything will be completely fine. So once again, I can guarantee you that everything will be fine, or I can confirm to you that everything will be fine.
Amazing. Meanwhile, we have an interesting question from M.O. Sahil. He says, Ma'am, I need one suggestion. That is, when I try to speak in English, at the time I don't take pause. Continuously, I speak too fast. Please suggest me, ma'am. I think we have a myth for that too, isn't it?
Perfect timing. I would say his timing is spot on. Yes, go ahead, Shruti.
Yes. Yeah, perfect. So I can see a lot of people, a lot of you interacting. Feel free to ask your questions because today we have got Miss Neetu. We are going to ask everything. We are going to emit out some of the words. We are going to take everything she has for us today. Okay. So now that we have covered about vocabulary, I think some vocabulary and grammar go hand in hand, especially for people who want to learn English. They have this in mind. Good vocabulary, good grammar, my English is sorted. So, in synchronization with that, I have our second myth, or maybe a truth, who knows? It says that after learning all the grammar rules, possibly, I will become fluent. What do you
Okay.
say?
So, in answer to this question, Shruti, I would like to take us back to our school days, where if you are a science student, or even if you are a science student, you would know this. We have theory and we have practicals. We have the lab. So, we used to often go for our physics, chemistry, biology, we had our textbooks, but then all of the material that we learned in those textbooks had to be brought to life in the lab. And this is pretty much what happens when you learn all the grammar rules. When you learn all the grammar rules by rote, that means by heart, you mug it up literally, you know all the grammar rules. But the million dollar question is, are we able to put it into practical use? And if we cannot put it into practical use, I'm sorry, your English is not up to par. So the answer, I would say, Shruti, this one is like a 50-50 thing. Knowing all the grammar rules, yeah, you should know the grammar rules. I'm not saying that you shouldn't know the grammar rules, but more than knowing the grammar rules, it's how you put those grammar rules into practice. That's what matters. And in order to demonstrate that, Shruti, I have another activity if our learners are interested in going into that.
Well, we shall jump right in. I think when we ask the questions, I see a lot of activity in the chat box. And if you were not here joining us live, then you would be able to see us on YouTube video as well. We'll put this live session as a video so that you can practice later on too. Sure.
Okay.
So we are going to have a quick, I would say, grammar quiz. Let's see how our learners are able to answer it. Sure. Please bring
Okay.
it, Ms. Neetu.
Again, this is going to be an option type question. So I'm going to give you guys two options. So you all have to choose whether we're going for option A or option B. Okay. So the
Hmm.
first one is, please give me a favor. Option A is going to be, please give me a favor. Or is it going to be option B, please do me a favor? I'll repeat the question for you. Is it A, please give me a favor? Or is it B, please do me a favor?
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Meanwhile, we give them their sweet time to practice. Here we have a question. Dipali says, "Can you please suggest book to read in 2025?" I think they've asked to a wrong person. I think Miss Neetu loves reading too. Miss Neetu, what are your suggestions? What are your top
Oh
picks?
my God. Okay, so yeah, if I start talking about books, Shruti, I think we'll be here the whole night, and we don't have the luxury of that timing, unfortunately. But Dipali, thank you for your question. And I personally have been a die-hard fiction lover, and I love suspense thrillers. To be very honest with you,
We are going to
um,
bring a balance. You are into fiction, I'm into non-fiction. Wow. Let's suggest them something good.
so then maybe Shruti can come up with some good non-fiction thrillers. But in my opinion, Dipali, if you want to go with fiction and if you want to start off with vocabulary, that's, I would say, basic to intermediate. I would go with an author by the name of Freda McFadden. So, Shruti, if you want, I can send you the details of the same so that maybe you can share it with our technical team and they could mention it. So, Freda McFadden writes some amazing books which super suspense thrillers, but more importantly, the language that she uses relates to our first myth, which is simple yet effective. It's not fancy schmancy words, but it's such amazing vocabulary that you will definitely use it in both your personal and professional life. So I would highly recommend Freda McFadden's books. And if you are really in the advanced level, if you want to go for Shashi Tharoor type vocabulary, his vocabulary is all over the place. I can, the way Shruti is laughing now. So if you want like really fancy vocabulary but amazing material to read, I would highly recommend that you read books by this Australian author who Jane Harper. Jane, Jane space Harper. She's an Australian author. She writes mind-blowing books, but her vocabulary is pretty advanced. So for basic, I would recommend Freda McFadden, who's an American author. But for advanced, definitely Jane Harper. Yeah. And nonfiction, over to you, Shruti, because I don't read nonfiction.
And now that you have listed some of the authors, I am very bad at remembering the name of the author. So I would just directly give you some of the book suggestions from the topics I have. If you're beginning your English reading journey, Dipali, let's take a lot of learners do not have this passion towards reading. If you're starting it, so this very thin book by the name Alchemist. It's simple, easy to understand. It was exactly my first book when I developed my love towards reading. Very small, or I would say beautiful story of a shepherd. So you can start with it. Or if you're somebody who's into more into business, then I would suggest you there's some books for marketing. But in general, there's one more book which I enjoy is Eat the Frog. So many times we just forget to, or we do not address the thing which is actually important. You do not prioritize your task. Maybe the task seems typical. So Eat the Frog is a book which actually helps you know that if this task seems daunting to you, how can you do that first? How can you have a good approach towards something typical in life? So it's a good book, easy to understand, easy to remember and apply. Hope it's
Eat
done.
the Frog. I'm not forgetting the title of that one. Eat the Frog. That's definitely on my block list right now. Such an interesting title. So definitely I'll be checking that one out in 2025.
Sure. Yeah, I can see people writing, Speak with Priyanka Kataria says, I love nonfiction. High five, virtual high five, Priyanka. Even I do. Okay, now let's be back with the question.
Okay.
Yes, we
Yeah.
have, yeah, please do me a favor. Okay, Mohammed Junaid
Yeah.
says,
I think everyone's gotten that one. This one actually right. Please do
uh,
me a favor. Yeah. Sorry, you go ahead. You want to say something, Shruti?
yeah, I think a lot of learners have just same option B, do me a favor, do me a favor. Firstly, there are some people they've written fever. I'm sorry, the question was do me a favor. I don't for fever.
Yeah, the fever, it came as a fever, but yeah. Someone has in between, sorry, Shruti, but someone in between has said, Khelo Yatra. One of our learners has mentioned, ma'am, please suggest some tips about how to read the newspaper. Um,
Oh,
Good question.
wow. We were just talking on how you develop your interest in reading. Firstly, I would suggest you that you don't have to force yourself. Majority of learners stop reading or they feel reading is boring because they are forcefully doing this. It's
Yes.
exactly the same approach they had towards books when they were in school days. Let's suppose I have a subject, I have history as a subject. Now I am forced to read history because I have to appear in my exams and score good, but
Yeah.
that's not the case when you are reading a book. Let's suppose, Ms. Neetu, you said you're a big fan of fiction. You have just completed a novel. I'm not going to cross question you. What did you read in novel? What's it all
Yeah.
about? Tell me the name of the author. Tell me how many characters are there. I'm not going to cross question, right?
True
Probably I
that.
would just ask, did you enjoy it? What was it all about? I can ask you the plot
Yes.
because you
Exactly.
are here to read it line by line. That's not a good method. So we'll do one thing. This is all together a new topic. How do you build your interest in reading? So we'll
Yeah.
keep this question, but for now you keep one tip of mine: don't read line by line. Secondly, pick up a book that you feel I am interested in, or maybe if you've picked the wrong book, then just have a glance. You don't have to read or remember everything. It's okay. Give it a read. If you haven't learned anything, it's okay. You were not here to learn from the book. What do you say, Neetu?
I completely agree with that. One more thing that I would say, Shruti, is if you're reading a newspaper, I try to if you want to build your interest in, or if you want to build your repertoire in the English language, I would say it's the wrong thing for me to say as an Indian, but I would say stop reading Indian newspapers and start reading newspapers like the New York Times or the Guardian or the Observer or the Washington Post. The reason I say this is because if you read these newspapers, don't read the international news and all of that. You're getting enough and more of that information from the Indian newspapers. Nothing beats the Hindustan Times and the Times of India in that regard. My reasoning behind my reasoning behind reading these international newspapers is to read specifically the lifestyle section, the opinion section, those sections where the authors give a first-hand view of different topics. So you
Mm-hmm.
can see the way they express themselves in such simple yet beautiful language, their opinions and ideas on basic topics. So I would recommend that you go with these kinds of newspapers. The Guardian is the best, and the New York Times is the second one. So those are that's my yeah.
Nice. And then there are many apps these days. They give you short, quick news updates, and even then you read their summary, you're pretty much good in understanding because they, instead of keeping that vocabulary rich, they try to keep it simple so that you understand the news and build your interest. Okay,
True.
now let's be back on track. Otherwise, people would miss out on what we were trying to teach. We were on the quick grammar quiz. We asked a question which was give me a favor or do me a favor. So I think the answer is pretty much visible in the chat box. Majority
Yes.
wins. It's
Do me a favor.
it's do me a favor. Exactly. But now I think I need to level up. I'm going to give you the next question. There are two options again. The first one is I apply makeup, and second is I wear makeup. Now, to all the female audience out there, I think you are going to nail
They're
it.
definitely going to ask this question. Yeah.
It's I apply makeup, or the second one is I wear makeup. So, which one is right? Meanwhile, let's take some of the questions.
Okay.
Sohail says first we have to read for getting interest. That automatically you will start reading. That's my suggestion. Fair enough, of course. But even then, Sohail, how do you develop the habit of reading is a question. Only then you will
It's
read it.
But I think also, Shruti, another point that Sohil actually makes a valid point, because if you're really motivated to learn the language, not just English, any language, if you're motivated to learn, then that interest comes automatically. Correct, Shruti?
Yeah.
It's the same as cooking. For instance, when you're living on your own, initially the idea of eating out is very fancy. It's, oh yeah, I can eat out today. It's going to be burgers. Tomorrow it's going to be pizzas. The day after it's going to be sushi. But then when your wallet starts deflating in size, then you realize that okay, fine, and you start getting stomach problems. Then you realize okay, and now I don't have a choice but to learn to cook. Do you agree with me,
True.
Shruti? So in that,
Yes.
so I think it's pretty much the same analogy. So I think you eventually, if you're really motivated to learn the language, then for sure you will start developing, or you'll generate an interest in reading the paper. So yeah.
Yes, or probably get a friend who actually has a good sense of recommendation. I remember one of my friends suggested me a book named Ikigai, and it was my initial days of reading. I couldn't wrap my head around what the author was trying to say, the wheels of life, and how do you balance. Nothing worked out. But then she said, okay, this is when you develop an interest and then you pick it. The moment I picked after 2 months, I could understand that. So have someone who can recommend. If you do not have, then make us as your best friends. Okay, we have
Absolutely.
a lot of answers in the chat box. Uh,
Yes.
Bunita says, I wear makeup. Vivek Yadav, apply makeup. Khelo Yatra says, I wear makeup. I love the ID they come from. Dipali says, yeah, I apply makeup. CS Nita says, wear makeup. Wow, the confusion is on another level. I wear or I
But
apply. Now I need
but
to help.
Priyanka Kataria has given a beautiful explanation about which is the correct phrase. She says that the correct phrase is "I wear makeup." You can also say "I apply makeup" if you're specifically talking about the act of putting it on. And this is the same discussion that we had as well, Shruti. I think she's given a perfect explanation of it. You're absolutely right, Priyanka. I think I wear makeup is the right thing to say. But yeah, when you're speaking about specifically putting on a particular product, then yes, it would be I apply makeup. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes, of course. So the thing is, we were just trying to trick you. Let's see how you react to it, and we are successful to a chance.
Yes, yes, yes,
Naveen
yeah.
Mandal has a question. Ma'am, tell me one thing. I can speak in English with myself very fluently, but when I try to speak to someone else, I'm not able to convey my thoughts and I feel totally blank.
Yes.
I think it's a
Um,
question that you hear a lot.
yes.
Let's
Naveen,
address it.
you are so not alone in this. There are times that, believe it or not, I blank out when I'm speaking to someone as well. I think first of all, it depends upon the person who you're speaking to. When you meet someone, it's like when you meet your favorite celebrity who you've been dying to meet for so long. But when that person finally comes in front of you, you faint. And then it's like, oh my God, you just made a complete fool of yourself. But this is a very normal thing. It's a psychological thing because, the confidence level sort of depletes when another person comes in front of you. There is no shame in admitting to it, Nabeen, and to everyone else out there. Just keep practicing and just do what you do on a daily basis. One thing I would recommend is, if it's possible to have a family member or a friend with whom you can have a conversation only for 10 minutes, 10 minutes purely in English, if it is possible, to have someone like that, a steady companion, if not every day, at least thrice a week, where you speak every word from start to finish. You set a timer on your phone for 10 minutes, exactly 10 minutes, and you speak purely in English. It could be about any random topic like, what do you have for breakfast today? Or what are your plans for the day? Or what are you going to do over the Christmas holidays? It could be over any random topic. And if you find it difficult to get someone like that, it's fine. Speak to yourself in the mirror. There is no better critique than you. So this is what I would recommend. So when you speak to yourself constantly in front of the mirror, when you have a companion with whom you can speak to constantly for 10 minutes, and I don't mean the artificial companion, who we will be speaking about in a second there, I think, Shruti. But I'm speaking about a real life human being as well. So if you have someone like that, brilliant. And this is another way in which you can be able to overcome the fear of speaking to another person in the English language.
Of course. And in addition to what Miss Neetu said, see, I have had many learners in the journey where there was one English tutor, I would say, I vividly remember her. Every time she would step in session, she would say that, you know what, when I am in front of my students, I feel so confident, I feel so motivated. But the moment I come in front of you, because I know that your English is good, you'll judge me. I have a fear of this thing that what if I commit mistake, and that's when I have jittery feeling. So in order to your answer your question, I would like to say, once you talk to somebody who's on a higher position, or maybe when you talk to somebody who's better than you, if you're having this feeling, that's completely normal. Try to do that quite often, and you'll find your way. For example, I had a fear of being on stage. I started doing it repeatedly. There came a point I felt that okay, now it's my part. I enjoy stage is my space. That's what we do at English Yaari as well. You have superior
Yes,
tutors, experienced trainers. When you speak with them, automatically you come to a point where you do not feel intimidated or you do not have this superiority complex. Am I right?
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Now I think before we go towards another lane, it's time to jump on to the next myth or a true. I don't know. Ms. Neetu, I would like to ask. This is a common question we hear, especially from people who are from South India. The learners, or maybe who are from typically North Indian, and they have mother tongue influence. They say that you need to have perfect English accent in order to speak confidently. What do you say?
Absolutely not, Shruti. As a South Indian myself, I have faced this problem. I have faced this. Well, I wouldn't say I have personally faced it. To be honest, no, I wouldn't say. But I have seen a lot of my colleagues facing this issue just because of the fact that they have a mother tongue influence. Of course, granted, our mother tongue influence, our MTI can be a little too strong. We pronounce our P's as B's and our O's as R's. That's very true. But many a times, most of us are able to succinctly communicate what it is that we are trying to say. We are able to communicate it. But still, it is dismissed simply because of the fact that the mother tongue influence comes. And I completely disagree with this notion. If what I am saying is clear to you, Shruti, and to everyone else sitting in the room, then mother tongue has absolutely nothing to do with it. So long as I pronounce the words correctly. I'll give you an example. Supposing you have the word CABBAGE. CABBAGE. Now, this is called cabbage. Unfortunately, the South Indians, we have a fancy for the word A, the alphabet A. So instantly, like our learners, most of them were choosing option A for most of our questions, and they turned out to be right, by the way. But
Yeah.
so the South Indians tend to say cabbage. It's not cabbage. The actual pronunciation is cabbage. Cabbage. The point I'm trying to make is when I say that I cooked cabbage today, when I say I cooked cabbage today, I have made my point clear that the pronunciation is not right, but it is very evident that you're speaking about the vegetable cabbage. So the point I'm trying to make is pronunciation needs to be right, but that does not mean that you need to sound like a native speaker in order to be able to classify to what is called as the perfect English. So, so the answer to that question would be that yes, your pronunciation is important, but it is not the be all and the end all of the English language.
Exactly. If you're able to communicate and share what you are trying to say and the person is able to get it, till then it's okay. It's okay how you pronounce, but your pronunciation should not be on another level. Let's suppose, Ms. Neetu, you gave quite a real-time calling which says cabbage or cabbage, which still a person can relate. What if somebody says something different, which I'm not able to understand at all? Then it would be a trouble. So if you are able
Yeah,
to make people understand what you're trying to say, it's good. It's good enough. You can go with it.
that is more than
Right?
enough. Yeah,
And
yeah,
India has witnessed so many great Indian leaders. They had MPI, still they would ace communication like anything. So it's
right.
okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Meanwhile, we have a lot of questions. Speak with Priyanka says, where is it? Did I just miss it? I'm so sorry, I missed
She
it.
says, she
Yeah,
says, same with me, ma'am. When I started learning English that time, I faced this problem, but now I'm okay with it because of continuous practice. There we are. Yeah. So
Perfect. If I'm not wrong,
she,
even Priyanka is one of our learners. I have an elephant's memory in that case. I do
uh,
remember people who joined
okay.
me. Okay, thank you so much for joining. I can see you all. Thank you a lot. Somebody just did a super chat, is it? Thank you,
Yes,
Rahul.
someone
Thank
did
you
put a super
for
for
loving.
that. Yeah.
Okay, let's be back on the next myth. So far we have covered it's okay if you do not have a lot of vocabulary words, still you can be a good speaker. It's all right if you do not know a lot of grammatical rules, but if you know the practical usage, good to go. And the third one was about your accent or your pronunciation. Just focus on neutralizing your accent rather than putting up or bringing a new accent in picture. I see a lot of people uh, trying to copy Americans or Britishers in their speech.
Yes,
Take it, if you are able to speak it naturally, then well and good, otherwise don't take something additional on you.
I agree. That's all that matters.
I think a lot of audience would now relate with what I'm trying to ask you. Miss Neetu, it happens. Let's suppose I consider your case. You have a good pace to speak, right? When you speak, you have a constant way of speaking. I have a different way of speaking. Everybody has. Sometimes we get people where they speak little slow. Does that mean that they have poor fluency? If I speak fast, only then I'll sound more native or professional, or speaking slowly means poor communication?
I have been compared to the Rawalpindi Express because I speak a mile a minute. Shruti, you are aware of this. I speak so fast. I've had my students tell me, Madam, please go a little slow, please, just to keep up with your pace. And I've had to correct myself. And that's one of my New Year resolutions for 2025, to be able to bring my pace to a minimum. Now, I believe that slow and steady wins the race, and it is so refreshing to hear someone speak at a nice, slow, constant pace, simply because it is soothing to the ears. And also, Shruti, another thing is the person who is standing opposite to you is perhaps not that fluent in the language, and that person is immediately put at ease simply because of the fact that this person is actually speaking at such a calm and composed fashion. So I will absolutely have to disagree. I mean, that particular myth that you said is definitely a myth. It's a false truth. Speaking at a slow pace does not mean that you are not fluent in the language. On the contrary, it is a classic proof and an example of the fact that that person knows exactly what he or she is communicating, and the audience or us learners should definitely take a leaf from that person's book. You are a classic example of that, Shruti. You speak at such a slow and steady pace that it's so easy, and it's so nice for people to talk to you and have a nice, to be like, it's like going for a yoga session. You're at ease. You're in a meditational pose, so you don't fall off to sleep, but at the same time you've delivered your points succinctly across. So that is a classic example, and I think more people should be doing that, speaking at a slow and steady pace, so that we are mindful of the audience that is standing in front of us. Not everyone is able to keep up with the fast pace. So I 10% disagree with that. Yeah.
Mhm. Okay, all right. Meanwhile, I see some of the comments. Let me acknowledge one after the other. Yeah, we see Gundan saying, hello, long time no see. I think you people have stopped loving us. That's why we are not coming. Show some love in the chat box. So I want you to motivate us. See, everything is driven by motivation. Today, if I want to do something, I need motivation. So for me to come live every time, you are going to be the driving force. Write down, comment to us, and we love to have you back every time. All right. Vivek Yadav says, how did you practice alone or you had someone? All right, Vivek, the thing is, if you practice alone, again, I would like to bring the point of motivation. You lose out on motivation. Today I'll practice alone, tomorrow I'll do it. Now it's a process which is continuous. You're trying to make continuous efforts, but after a while you'll feel, I'm not able to witness the change, because speaking in English require good time, and continuity is must. So I'm trying alone from my room. I'm not able to witness the change. Eventually I lose my interest. So that's why it is always suggested that if you're trying to improve on your English, make sure you have somebody to look over you, right? So that the person can check How are you progressing in life? What are some of the areas to improve? And this will eventually help you become a confident speaker. Yes, now we have MD Rukin says, how's your day going? My day is shaping well. Thank you so much. Okay, meanwhile, we have a lot of questions. Let's take one after the other. Kelo Yatra says, which is the best way to collect vocabulary? In order to get vocabulary, firstly, I would suggest that don't pick any word that seems fancy to you, as I've done this mistake myself. Anytime I would hear something quirky, something fancy, I'll write in the list, Google it later, write the meaning. All I have is notes. I don't have it here. So, if you want to add on vocabulary in your speech, the best way is to hit vocabulary topic via topic. In simple words, I explain you. Let's suppose I am today going to talk about the topic travel. It's better before I enter in the session with my tutor, I learn some words related to travel. Or if you do not have anyone to practice with, whenever we encounter a new person or whenever we speak in English with people, there's some common or go to topics. For example, your likes, your dislikes, your hobbies, your interest, your passion, or what are you up to these days. So these are some hardcore topics that everyone would ask you, right? So take those topics, those general topics, try to explore the vocabulary words around the topic and move on. Hope this answers your question. Okay, how to speak English fluently? Please guide Krishna Rathi says, in order to speak fluently, Krishna, the best way is to practice with somebody who can help you, who can guide you, and can suggest you what works. So speak more in order to sound more accurate and have that confidence in you. Okay, I see a lot of people saying absolutely right. Thank you so much for just agreeing with me. Meanwhile, if you have any question, feel free to bring it, and then we'll start with our next myth or the doubt. Okay, I have a question for you before we dive into the next myth. Nowadays, one thing which is quite in fashion is talking to AI. How many of my learners have tried talking to AI? Please tell me in the chat box. Knowledge with Shibam says, happy to see you after a long. My question to you is how to reach your level, ma'am. Um, you don't have to reach my level. I think you need to level up. You need to build a personality. When I say speak in English, there is a difference between he knows how to speak in English versus he speaks well, right? Now ask yourself, do I need a compliment from people saying, oh, he knows how to speak in English, or I want the compliment he speaks well? If you want to speak well, then build a personality where you speak at a good pace. You don't put in the typical jargons, you have some basic subtle words. Thirdly, you have a tone which sounds pleasing. That's it, and you'll be good to go. Yes. Can you please help me how to work on intonation? Dipali, what a wonderful question. Intonation and voice modulation matters the most. So I'll give you a simple quick. You all can do this at home. And if it doesn't work, you can just come back to me and tell me that, hey, Shruti, it doesn't work because it's tried and tested. Take one simple sentence. This is called a dialogue delivery speech. I'm just spilling the beans. I do this in my sessions with learners, but let me tell you, you're all mine now. Just take a normal dialogue. For example, I don't know is a dialogue. Okay, now create scenarios in your brain. One scenario can be, let's suppose I'm very tired, and the moment I return home, my kid asks me, Papa, where's my red car? I'm not able to find it. Now you're fatigued, you're tired, you're exhausted from your work. How would you say? You'd probably say, I don't know, because you're tired, right? Your voice should reflect it. Now think of how would you say the same thing to your wife? Maybe a little polite, I don't know. You cannot say, I don't know. Probably she'll not serve you food then. So you will take it on a lighter note. Maybe when your friends ask, do you know about this project? How to do it? You're like, I don't know, yeah, because the friend, uh, your terms with that friend is different. If your boss asks you that, hey, Vivek, can you tell me what's the update on the project you people were doing? And you still have no clue about it. So you'll say, I'm sorry, boss, I don't know. Now, if you notice, there was one single dialogue. I don't know, but you're trying to use in various situations. This help you understand voice modulation, when to raise my voice, when to break it down, depending upon the scenarios I create. Is that clear? Okay, very good, very good. Yes, I asked you a question that how many of you have used the AI tool. I can see MD Rakinul, if I'm right, says me with ChatGPT. Okay, ChatGPT people are using. Sohil says I don't use ChatGPT, ma'am. I use Skill app. Okay, no problem. English with Dipali says, what a great technique. No worries. Thank you so much for appreciating. I think that brings me back to you. Okay, I can see a lot of yes, yes, yes. So you people use Chat GPT, or maybe there are many AI tools these days. I would firstly suggest you it's good to take suggestions from AI. Try to have a conversation, especially when you are in your early learning stages. Have a conversation with a human. Of course, tomorrow is the world of AI, not stopping you, but I want you to add emotions in your speech as well. A machine cannot tell you the emotions. Machine cannot motivate you to practice every day. But when you are with us, when you're with our English Yari tutors, they're there to motivate you. They're there to tell you that it's okay, this is a mistake, that's how we fix it. Not just give you some text that, hey, this is your mistake, focus on it. No, have real time conversation with real people and improve. Okay, you can take AI tool for your post preparation, post session preparation. Am I right? Okay, all right. Priyanka says sometime I see a lot of people saying right in the chat box. Perfect. Thank you so much. Now that we come towards the end of this session, I think there was something wrong, and Miss Neetu has taken a little break, but um, I am very happy and I'm thrilled.
I'm so sorry
Wow.
about this. I would like to apologize to you, Shruti, and to all the learners. I have twins, just in case the learners didn't know. Shruti is aware. And one of my girls was having a temper tantrum. I'm sorry. Once a mother, always a mother. So the mother maternal instinctively comes. I truly would like to apologize for sort of like leaving you in the lurch there. I truly apologize. Yeah, she's sitting and crying in the background there. So sorry about that.
It's okay, it's all right. I think that's the beauty. And we have great learners. All of you, I want you to click on the like, subscribe button every time so that you get the notification. Okay, I see people understanding. They always understand. Priyanka say, it was amazing session, Dipali. Thank you so much. Here we come towards the end of the session, conclusion of the session. When you were not here, Miss Neetu, I gave them tips to improve the intonation and some
Awesome.
other things. So now they're pretty well versed. Just it's time to conclude the session. Would you like to take the honors?
First of all, once again, my sincere apologies for having sort of walked out just at the last minute. I truly would like to apologize. And I just want to say thank you so much, Shruti and Team English Yari, for this opportunity to be able to speak to our learners. There's nothing more, I think, memorable than actually having a one-on-one live session here and seeing comments coming in live was just absolutely amazing. It was truly like the cherry on the top of the cake. It makes me feel so wonderful, and I'm so glad that I opted for doing this. And I really hope, Shruti, that we were able to falsify many of the false truths that keep cropping up around the English language. The good news is that our learners are very proficient with the basic grammar rules and with the basic vocabulary, which is very evident from the questions that we gave. So I would highly recommend to all of our learners out there, like I said, reading international publications like The Guardian, The New York Post, which I'll pass on the details to you, Shruti, so that we can update it on our app as well as on our YouTube channels for different kinds of newspapers that they can read, good reading material. I think that is the best way. And always on a daily basis, keep a, what I would recommend is many of you all are students on the platform. What I would recommend is when you have this conversation, because I had given this tip as well earlier, Shruti, if you remember, have a 10 minute conversation every day, if not with a companion, at least with yourself in the mirror about something random. So it could be like, hey, Shruti. So let's assume that I'm Shruti. Hey, Shruti, how's it going? And so then Shruti is trying to respond. That is the mirror Shruti is trying to respond saying, yeah, it is okay, I think. So you're not sure. Mirror Shruti is not sure of how to complete the sentence. Instantly note it down in the journal. Have a book dedicated to the English language. Have a book that should be your number one New Year resolution for 2025. have a book dedicated to the English language, write that sentence down and put dot 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 because you were unable to complete it. And in your next session with your tutor, whoever your tutor is, say, listen, madam, listen, sir, I was trying to have this conversation, but I was unable to complete it. How do you think would be the right way for me to complete the sentence? In this way, what you're doing is it's twofold. Not only are you learning from the tutor, your tutor is also learning something from you. Because trust me, we wouldn't be here without you guys. And I'm sure Shruti will vouch for this. You
Yes,
students are what
absolutely.
make us who we are. We learn something from you guys. Never underestimate your importance, your value. That's all I have to say. And
Uh,
yeah, that's what I have to say from my end. And I would just like to say that it's just a few more days for 2024 to come to a close, and we're going to be dawning and entering into a new year. I would love to wish all of you and your families and your loved ones all the happiness and joy of 2025. May it be a fulfilling, enriching year in every possible way. And may you finally be able to forego all of the myths and all of the mistruths and all of your inferiority complexes related to the English language. Let this language be the love of your life in 2025. Wow,
yeah.
that actually like I didn't even
From
realize it, honestly.
from the depth of our heart, from the whole English Yari family, we wish that this new year brings you a lot of joy, as she said, a lot of love, warmth, but more than that, confidence to speak in English fluently. So do that honors. English Yari is up to 55% off is just live. You can avail the offer, start your journey. As they say, we always take up resolutions that I'll do this, I'll do that. We don't do it, we fall short. It's better we start it in the coming year. We start it with a great pomp and show and enjoy to the core. Thank you so much. I see Priyanka, then this Sohail, Vivek, CS Neeta, Sohail, so many learners out there who have been with us from the start of the session. So thank you so much for this love. The kind of appreciation we get from you always motivates, and surely MD Rukeen says we need more live session like that. Done deal. By the time I have best tutors, I'm going to bring them once after the other on board. Thank you so much, everybody. And as we promised, we are going to give one free session. So I think it's time for us to give one free session to a person who
Oh.
has been with us throughout. I think who better than yes, Neeta Sharma can. Should we give it to
Oh,
her?
absolutely. I think that's a perfect choice. You actually read my mind. I was thinking she would be perfect for this. I'm so glad that you chose her. Awesome.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Miss CS Neeta Sharma, to all the learners who were there. We love you from the bottom of our hearts. We say that enjoy to the course, start learning English, start improving, join us in, and we will help you improve. Till then, take care. Bye bye.
Yes.